On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we are talking about Vis Pacem Bellum. That is the 8th episode of Star Trek Discovery, right after this.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
Hey, David C. Robertson. We watched an episode of Discovery. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I have a little trouble with the Latin.
Yeah, I thought you did pretty well on that little intro with the Latin. I am not Latin worthy.
Yeah.
I was trying to go with like seaworthy, but
yeah,
it didn't work.
Vis Pacem Bellum is a Latin adage translated, if you want peace, prepare for war.
All right, well, full spoiler alert. Give us that synopsis, bro.
The USS Discovery is tasked with a high-priority mission to the planet Pahvo and learn the science behind the Klingons' cloaking technology.
And it doesn't even mention Saru.
It doesn't even mention Saru, and he was like the highlight of the episode, the brightest star of the episode, some might say.
Good reference. So obviously the big story of this episode is Saru. Mm-hmm. Saru committing mutiny, and what is interesting to me is we've seen this in Star Trek a million times. One of our characters, in the light of the telepathic influence of another creature,
right,
going crazy and doing that creature's bidding, and what to me was the novel idea of this episode, and sort of the twist on it was that it was not. He was not doing this under the Pavan's control. He was doing this because of the Pavan's influence, yes, but like it was his choice to basically commit mutiny and to try to run and hide, which is part of his like genetics. To run and hide and find peace, you know.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty amazing.
It's pretty great.
It was one of my favorite and standout episodes. It's just a standout episode for me. Like, thinking back on my original watch of the episode.
It feels very, very Star Trek. Very classic Star Trek.
Yeah. Agreed. I liked that it started... We discussed this on a recent news episode, but I liked that it actually started with the destruction of a starship.
Yes, the Gagarin.
Yeah.
And I like that Lorca actually looks pained when they fail to save it.
Yeah.
Like, he looks sad.
Yeah. He's getting sort of a... He's definitely... He's really fighting this war. Mm-hmm. No matter what you think of him, there's a part of him that's trying to really do the right thing by all these humans.
Yeah, I think he is. I loved that Stamets mistook Tilly for the captain after leaving his little chamber.
Me too.
What were you calling it?
Me too.
What did you call it?
I don't remember.
You called it something on the news episode we just recorded, and it was funny.
It's called, like, I don't even remember the something chamber. The Stamets chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The Stamets chamber. Yeah, which I think we should probably save the discussion for the spoiler section.
You said full spoilers earlier. I thought maybe we were already doing that.
Oh, sorry. Full spoilers for the episode, not for the season.
The season.
Yeah,
okay.
My bad.
Gotcha.
Full spoilers for this episode.
Yeah. When you say full spoilers, it's just...
My bad.
Like full spoilers.
I didn't mean to let you off your leash.
I mean, I wasn't getting off the leash yet because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Stamets in this episode, just period. Stamets kind of going back to his old ways, and we don't really know why, but he's just sort of angry, and he doesn't know where he is, and the genetic effects are really hitting him hard. And yeah, why would he call her captain? Like, that was interesting.
Yeah.
We'll definitely talk more about why he called her captain in the spoiler section for the whole season when we get to the end of this episode.
Ooh wee.
All right. So, characters.
Sorry, I'm feeling silly.
Yeah, me too. I'm a little punchy. From this, we've been recording for a while because we just did a news episode and we're both a little punchy.
And I'm doing the CW Elseworlds crossover podcast after this.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that was out. I'm going to have to watch that.
Oh, yeah, it's dope.
Cool.
Anyway.
Starts with the destruction of the Gagarin, and then we find out that that's just the B storyline. The A storyline is Saru, Ash Tyler, and Michael Burnham on planet Pahvo, an uninhabited planet that has a resonance to it. They believe they can send a signal to stop the Klingons. It really was classic Star Trek. Just they have an objective. They come across a species that they don't understand. They have to kind of decode that species, and then they get into the head of one of the crewmen in some way. I really did enjoy it, and I really enjoyed that it wasn't the fact that it wasn't just the species effects that was causing the Saru to act that way. I loved that so much. That really is just the highlight of the episode for me.
Yeah.
Because Saru, it gives us a real window into Saru as a character and not just, he's acting crazy again. Like that's a trope on Star Trek that's kind of a bummer because it lends itself to that episodic ideal instead of a serialized storytelling. And I just thought it was cool to see Saru running. It reminded me of Data, like not of Data running. I'm sure we've seen that, but I love that. It's just kind of fun when a character has the physical element to their character. It reminded me of Data falling off the ship and walking to shore. I don't know if I think was that in the books or was that in the movie? That
was, I think. Okay, there was a bit in Star Trek Insurrection where he walks out into the middle of a lake and then and he's he's completely submerged, and then he activates his onboard flotation device.
It's like stuff like that where you have this character who's
dumb.
Mostly cerebral, but they do have these weird, weird physical abilities, and Saru being able to run through the forest like that, which I thought the CGI on that part looked completely shitty when he was running through the forest. But I still kind of enjoyed the idea that he can run like a gazelle or whatever.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's another instance though of them bringing up something that I have not seen on, when they went back, it showed us his planet on the brightest star. I did not get the idea that they were running from predators. They were actively giving themselves over to a predator species that they,
Well, I think the idea
was a god. I
think the idea is that they had been running for predators for millennia, and it developed them into this race. But finally, it's kind of like they had been subjugated completely by the point we see them in the brightest star, or they're basically being farm raised instead of outrunning wild and running from the Baul. They're now just being raised on these weird ganglia farms.
Ganglia farms?
Yeah, man. They only raise them for their ganglia.
Yeah,
it's the tastiest part.
Right. Ugh.
So gross. So gross. Okay. There really isn't much else other than going on in this episode. I found it strange that Burnham got so on board with Ash Tyler's plan. I know he's her commanding officer, but it's not like that stopped her from rebelling in the past.
Yeah, but she's trying to turn over a new leaf. That only happened once. She Starfleet through and through, man.
Right.
Remember?
Yes.
Remember how she said the thing?
Yes.
In the other episode?
I absolutely do. But the thing is, in this particular case, her commanding officer is giving her a command that is against Starfleet orders. So I would have thought this would be the chance that she would stand up to her orders, because they are against the Starfleet ideal.
Yeah.
She says, this is against our orders. This is not what we can't borrow their technology. And then he's like, but I'm your commanding officer. You're going to do it. And then she fights to do it,
Well, also, this is like the only chance they have to get off of the island, of the planet.
This is Lost, right?
I certainly feel lost sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah. It's the only chance. Like, I feel like she made the argument almost for herself to say, I did try to stick by what Starfleet said, but, he right, we need to leave.
Yeah. So in the end, she kind of goes against the Starfleet ideal there. It had made for a fun last moment, and the real last moment of the episode is when you find out that the Pahvins did not send out the signal they wanted them to send. They sent out a signal for I guess what they're hoping is peace talks.
Yeah.
Just to try to bring peace to the universe. I loved that. I loved it so much. It gave this sort of like episodic species that we encountered, like they had a real impact on the plot, and I loved that so much.
Mm-hmm. That was really cool. I kind of honestly want to keep watching the next episode. Yeah.
Well, let's get to it. Let's talk. You have any quotes that you want to talk about?
I did want to bring up that I loved that quiet, sad realization that, or Michael Burnham at least reminding Tyler that, he had something really great to go home to after the war, but she will be going back to prison.
Yeah, I love that. That's where my quote comes from, is that scene as well. And I think the quote is probably obvious. But did you have one there too? Sorry, it sounded like you were winding down.
I don't think I had a quote for that one.
For me, the quote is real obvious.
Yeah, I don't think I actually wrote that one down, but it was. I liked that, and I also liked that Stamets decided that he can't actually go to Hugh, to Culber, because the genetic engineering is illegal, and it would get him in trouble, and there was no way he could actually do it without, like, screwing,
right?
Like his husband over.
His husband, either way. Well, for me, the quote from that one scene with Burnham and Tyler was, obviously it's a Star Trek staple, but she starts to say the Vulcan. The Vulcan adage, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, but she only gets as far as the needs of the many, which I just loved because, of course, she's Spock's sister. Of course she knows that quote. She says the needs of the many, and he interrupts her and says, are worth fighting for? Are worth dying for? So are the needs of the few.
Or one.
And then she says, or the one. It was really good. Yeah. It was a really good retelling. Like, that was infinitely better than the Into Darkness retelling of that scene.
Or the Enterprise version of that. But
I don't remember.
Paul says it.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
The Enterprise version. What happens with T'Pol in Enterprise?
She says it.
Oh, she just says
yeah.
Okay. I just thought it was a really nice way of working that reference in without just straight up using it and making it conversational. Thought it was cool.
Yeah, this is the best version of it I've seen outside of Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
Or in Star Trek 3.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Did you have any trivia or other quotes that you want to talk about?
I loved Saru's I lied to you, and Lieutenant Tyler, I attacked you, I could have killed you. She says you weren't yourself, but I was.
Yeah.
We are born afraid, we Kelpians. This is how we survive. As such, my whole life, I have never known a moment without fear. The freedom of it. Not one moment. Ugh.
Yeah. It brings his character to life in a way that we haven't seen yet. Puts you inside his brain. Loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. And my favorite line of the entire episode was Captain Lorca. It shouldn't be of any surprise to anyone that my favorite quote is from Lorca. I feel like I'm going to miss him so much in Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I hope he somehow comes back. But, Mr. Rise, can I trouble you to fire at something?
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. What about any trivia?
I've only got really one piece.
Yeah, what is it?
That I thought was interesting was that Admiral Cornwell told L'Rell that the Federation has no death penalty, but if that is true, it means, and maybe she doesn't mention General Order 7 because it's so top secret, but General Order 7 is the only death penalty they still have on the books, and that is that General Order 7 is about Talos 4. But you're not to go to Talos 4. No one is to go to Talos 4.
Okay. And that has a death penalty attached?
Yes, it does. They mention it in the Menagerie as the only. If you go to Talos, that's the only death penalty that's left on the books.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And remind me, the cage is supposed to be before or after what we're watching now?
Before.
Okay, gotcha. The cage, but then where No Man Has Gone Before is after.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's get into the spoiler section. How about it, my friend?
Sure, man.
So now we're going to talk about spoilers from the entire season of Star Trek Discovery Season 1. So if you're watching it for the first time, leave because we're going to spoil some of the big surprises that you don't know are coming. All right. Spoiler warning, 3, 2, 1, now. So a couple things I thought were interesting. Obviously, the Tilly getting called out as Captain Tilly.
Captain Killy, y'all.
Captain Killy. Loved that. Thought it was a great little foreshadowing that obviously I didn't notice the first time I watched it. Great foreshadowing.
I did wonder. I do remember wondering when I first watched it if he was seeing the future. Because she is in, like, the program?
Yeah, I thought that too. But now we know it's that he's seeing an alternate version of reality where she's Captain Killy. Then, I thought it was funny, and this may or may not be foreshadowing, I really am not sure. But Voq doesn't... it's either foreshadowing or it's bad exposition, and I'm not sure which. But... Ash Tyler, who is Voq, doesn't seem to understand the Prime Directive fully. I think that's basically just. I think that was there for fan service. Like, I think that was like he says a thing and she's like, "Well, that's not really what that is. That's this. That's we're not supposed to show ourselves, but that's long past." Like, now we're on to it. I think they were just trying to get around the fans, honestly. See, I didn't take it that way.
I think there are, like, plenty of people in Star Trek history, plenty of crew members who don't know the Prime Directive, and then Kirk or somebody's like, the Prime Directive states, blah, blah, blah.
Right, and I think that's fine. It is their Directive 1. I feel like it's probably pretty well known what the Prime Directive is.
Maybe it is foreshadowing,
but it seemed almost like the Klingons aren't fully aware of their rules, and when they programmed Voq to be Ash Tyler, maybe they missed a couple spots. So it's similar to what I was talking about last week, or I think it was the last episode we did, where Lorca says something similar, where he just doesn't seem to get. Oh yeah, it was the mud episode where he doesn't understand the rules behind saving the animal or whatever. It could be, it works either way, which is why it's beautiful, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. And
you know what we didn't talk about at all is Laurel and Cornwell together.
We didn't. We did not talk about that at all. I don't... Yeah, and it was a big part of the episode, I guess.
It actually absolutely was. And I loved that she was so willing to deceive the Klingons and try to get out with Cornwell.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously she doesn't have any choice.
Laurel does not consider them honorable Klingons. She is starting to see the world differently, and she's trying to bring the Klingons together, and she believes that unification of the Klingons is important, is just as important as supremacy of the Klingons. And,
Absolutely.
And doesn't think that, and when she finds those dead Klingons in Cole's like dead body storage locker, I guess. Really strange. I thought the whole thing was strange because it was like Laurel knew about that room because she says, I'll go dispose of the body. So she knows there's like a body disposal area, but she didn't know, I guess, that those specific people had died that I guess were her friends or her family or whatever.
Oh, that was definitely a message to her.
What, you think the bodies there was a message?
Absolutely, because then she goes to like pledge her allegiance to him, and he makes her House of Core, and then he's like, "Did you think I didn't know about your deception?"
Okay.
Like he realized that she was trying to escape with Laurel. I mean, not Laurel, with Cornwell. Like he realized what she was doing.
Yeah,
and then he was like, "Let's show her what the House of Core does to liars." Like,
oh, and he killed all of her people.
Yeah, he did it after he saw her running around with Cornwell. Like,
well, that was immediately before she walked in there, so I don't think he killed them after that.
I mean, was it really immediately, or was it like...
She literally grabs the body and drags it to that room, so I doubt he had time to round up her compatriots and kill them all and put them in that room.
No, I think he knew that she was planning before she walked out with Cornwell.
Right. He would have had to known when he sent her into the room. For that to be, I don't know that that's...
I think he probably, in some way or another, probably through a bug or whatever, overheard what she was talking about with Cornwell before they ever even left the torture chamber, is what I'm saying.
Right. That's possible. That is very possible. But I don't know that I didn't fully understand. I guess we're supposed to believe he's like punishing her for what she did by killing all of her crew member, her compatriots, but then he's keeping her around. That seems weird to me. But
I think he I felt like it was more or less him just being cruel. Like he gives her a false sense of security before being like, by the way, I know what you've done, and let's show her what the House of Core does to liars. Like, he's giving her a false sense of security, making her feel safe for just a second before ripping it all away.
Right. Sure. I think that's true. So at the end of the episode, is she in good standing with him, sort of? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Well, he says he's going to need an interrogator, and that he decides to keep her. It's just weird. But
that is before he says, let's show her what the House of Core does to liars. Right. That's before he shows his hand.
I agree. It's all just strange to me.
And I don't remember what happened next.
It seems weird and sort of deceptive of him. I don't know. The whole thing seems sort of strange.
Well, he's a rat bastard anyway.
Yeah, which it just seemed. I guess that's part of it. All of his actions seem just sort of like he's
petty and cruel.
Instead of And I guess that's what she's trying to fight against. She's trying to fight against this petty, cruel version of the Klingon Empire. Mm-hmm. And trying to bring back honor. Okay, well, I may have to rewatch those scenes. I watched them, but I don't know. I still don't fully understand exactly what was going on. At least in Cole's mind. And maybe it's because he's just an illogically cruel asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It required reading. Maybe I didn't understand it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. That is all for this episode of the Discovery Rewatch. We'll be back with the next episode of Discovery real soon. We're in like the countdown now. Discovery Season 2 starts in no time.
Yeah. Well, there's some time.
Very excited. What is it? January what?
17th, I think.
17th. So soon. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk to you soon. Peace.
Live long and prosper.
To reach out to us, hit us up at StarTrekUcast.com, at Star Trek Ucast on Twitter, Star Trek Universe Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for us there, or send us a message at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv. And if you want to hear more from Matthew Carroll, that's me, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, or go listen to my music at MatthewCarrollmusic.com or anywhere you get music.